Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining in today. Since we have finished a lot of the work here with the industries over at Winfield Yard, I figured, it's a great time to go ahead and have a brief video where we talk about some of the yard operations. So we're going to do some switching, build a train, get a train sent out of here, and talk about how we can do a little bit of classification in this yard to get ready for some of the other trains that are going to interact with us here in the yard. And then that will set us up perfectly to have some videos in the future about those trains, so stay tuned. Well, here we are in Winfield Yard. Quick rundown. We have 4 tracks, so we start with track 1 over on the left of the reefer cars here. Then we have 2, 3, and 4 counting to the right. And of course you can see that tracks 2, 3, and 4 are currently filled up with reefers. So that is because we recently received our reefer train from the Cotton Belt. So one of the first things we're going to do today is go ahead and switch out Knight's Perishables so we can get one of those tracks cleared up and get that reefer train ready to be built and out of our yard, because we have the local coming up and we want to be ready for the local to come up. So we're going to talk about the switching today as we get the yard ready to receive the local, because the local is going to come with about 3,000 feet of cars that need to be classified, sorted, switched out, all that good jazz. So stay tuned, but the first thing we're going to do is head over to Knight's Perishables and get some switching done. These 2 Jeeps here spend a lot of time in Winfield Yard. They are the yard goats here for Winfield, so this is their place. Currently we are bringing them off the house track. Typically when the local comes in, we put the power for the local either here on the house track or just to the, what would that be, to the west of here on the main, just to kind of get out of the way. But every time when it's time to get to work, these are our goats right here in the house track. At least for the sake of our switching today, I figured we would first pick up everything here on the same track as the tank cars. We want to get all these reefers together because all of these reefers are currently earmarked to head out on the reefer train today, which is heading to Los Angeles. So we're going to go ahead and get those out of the way first after we grab these tank cars, because tank cars are kind of in the way right now. Notice our lovely little track markers here, just to the little signs to let us know where things are. So this here, COK2, tells us that this is CO for Coxton. K stands for the letter for the industry. This is Knight's Perishables, and 2 tells us that it is track 2. Just to help identify and find spurs on the route. That's the purpose of these signs. Well, while the yard crew over there in Hemp Hill was doing some work switching out Knight's Perishables, the engine crew over here for the Cotton Belt reefer train is about ready to depart Nick's yard and head over to Hemp Hill Yard to get ready to be connected to their train. So here we get a chance to see them back up and get themselves into position. Kind of the way this works is they're going to back up, get on the main, and then the Ellen train's going to bring all their cars up to them, and then there'll be a little run around, and then everybody will get in shape, and then that'll be it. And here we are pulling the last cut out of Knight's Perishables, so after this we will start putting our set-outs into the same industry. I am going to be honest and say that the reefer train deserves a video all to itself, just to discuss kind of the methodology and process for getting it built, broke down where it goes, what it does. So I am going to cut out of this video the switching maneuvers where we build that train, and instead I will show those in a later video dedicated explicitly just to this train. So please don't be bothered. I promise that in the future I will deliver that content, but for now we're going to focus just mostly on the operations here at Winfield Yard. Alright, so here's the deal. We've got 4 tracks of reefers. More or less, the first 3 tracks, 1, 2, and 3 on the left, those are all, except for a few cars, those are all going to be departing here in just a little bit. So when the reefer train comes in, what we do is we typically try to load as many reefers into Knight's Perishables as we can in order to try to get those dumped, reloaded, whichever they got to do, and get those back out into the yard and ready to go on the next train. So while sometimes we may not necessarily fill up the industry with cars, today we will most certainly be doing just that. Alright, here we go, making the move to fill up the second track. We managed to get 8 cars in the first track, not too bad. There are 18 reefers in our cut right now, so we only have 10 more to spot, which means that you can tell there's going to be more than enough space here at Knight's Perishables. So really I think it holds enough space for like 22 or 23 reefers overall, so it does actually have quite a bit of space. Enough space to clear out a whole track over here at once from Winfield Yard, so that's good. Or sorry, that would be Winfield Yard. Hempill's over there by the Santa Fe. Even though we had track space for one more car, we don't want to have any reefers sitting out here past the platform, so I had to cut here between the 2 Burlington Northern reefers. But those last 4, we'll just go ahead and put those on track 3 here, and then that way we can just be done with our switching at Knight's Perishables. Alright, taking a look over here at the grain terminal, we have 9 pickups. We're going to go ahead and pick up all 9 of these cars because our yard master over here told us that we've got about 15 more cars coming in that have to go here, so we're not going to have enough space. And since all these are already ready to be loaded up, we're going to go ahead and get them out of the way. We can always dump them in the yard for now, but you can see they have numerous destinations. We've got some Santa Fe cars, Southern Pacific cars, some to the KCS, Louisville and Nashville, and then we have our MEs and MOs. Those are going to industries here on the Coxton Sub. So pretty much any car going to the Coxton Sub, we will run over to the Cotton Belt. Any car going to SP will also go to the Cotton Belt. And the KCS cars, those can actually be set out in our own yard because we'll talk some more talk in some more detail in a minute about some of the Louisville and Nashville trains, but we do have a train that goes directly to the KCS, and so the only cars that we're going to have to ship out of our own yard are going to be any car going to the Cotton Belt or the Santa Fe. Everything else can stay here in our own yard. So let's get to work. Quick little detour right quick. We are going to head back to Forney Scrap. We do have 3 pickups, and those need to be sorted out as well, so we're going to go ahead and grab those and then get over to the yard and start getting everything in order. The nice thing about Winfield Yard is, since it's not a classification yard, you don't technically have to put any particular car on any track, so you have complete flexibility to utilize the yard however you like. So once we get over there, we'll take a look at, how many cars we have going to different places, talk about, kind of what what trains are serving this yard, and then we'll kind of get an idea of what we want to do with our cars here in just a minute. Alright, so on any given operating day, there are 4 trains that come in and interact with the Louisville and Nashville Winfield Yard. So you've got a Coxton local that is exclusively a Louisville and Nashville train. We'll have a separate video for that. It comes in and drops off its entire cut of cars here in Winfield Yard, basically terminates here in the yard, and then the yard crew breaks it down, puts the cars in the different tracks depending on where they need to go. If they need to make some transfers over to the Santa Fe or the Cotton Belt, they go ahead and do that. And then if there's any cars ready to go, they go ahead and start building the outbound local, and off it goes. There's also a manifest train that goes from the Louisville and Nashville staging over to the KCS staging. That train is bound for Kansas City. That train does stop here briefly to drop off cars and pick up some cars. So any car that's bound for the KCS can get loaded onto that train, and then any car that is already on the train bound for anywhere on the route or these other connections can get dropped off here. And then the opposite is true, going the other direction. So there is a manifest train for the KCS and the Louisville Nashville that goes from the KCS staging over to the Louisville Nashville staging, and it stops here in this yard. So it picks up any cars that are bound for the Louisville Nashville. So right now what we're doing is we are sorting out our cars, and the one here at the back is bound for the Louisville Nashville. So it's currently off screen, but our very last car will in fact be picked up by the manifest when the manifest runs south, and that train runs to Jackson. Now these connections are technically fictional, they don't actually exist, but that's the fun of it. In general, they are sort of heading in the direction of those major cities. So, and then lastly, of course, any cars that are bound to the Cotton Belt or anywhere on the route not to the Santa Fe will get delivered over to the Cotton Belt. And currently over in Nick's yard, the Cotton Belt yard, there are about 25 cars waiting to get picked up by our yard crew. So what I'll do is I'll probably add that to the footage for the local video of running the LN local, just because we're already kind of getting to a point where I've got quite a bit of footage already. So I think I want to add that to the next one. Besides, that'll give us a little more switching flavor. So we'll just kind of finish up this video by doing our little classifications here, getting our cars grouped together, and then after that we'll wrap it up and call it a day. We're going to go ahead and leave that gondola bound for the SB over there on the loop track for a minute so we can get our 2 KCS cars together. That will also let us get the tank cars kind of in the same place so that the SPs and KCS are blocked. And then we'll continue shoving and getting stuff in different places. Right now, we're not going to worry about putting cars bound for different railroads or locations on different tracks. Rather, we're just going to kind of get everything sorted into their different sections, and then we will probably shove them all onto the same track. Alright, these 3 cars here bound for Industries on the Coxton Sub. We'll just go ahead and set on track 4 for now. That will let us continue to break down a few more cars, and then once we get back to those SP cars, we will shove all the SP cars here and connect up with these cars on track 4 going to the Coxton Sub, because all of the SP and the cars going to the Coxton Sub are all going to go to the Cotton Belt. So they will all go together. We are currently in the process of kicking this car bound for the Louisville Nashville, so I'm going to go ahead and hit our brakes and send that car on its way. Save some time so we don't have to shove nice and slow all the way down that yard track. Alright, we're going to slowly back up, stay ahead of these cars that we just kicked. We have now basically sorted everything. So we'll go connect our KCS cars up, and then that'll have some SP cars there in the back, which we can use to grab those 2 SP cars that are on the move right now. And then we'll pull all of our cars and shove them down on track 1 and have them out of the way, and that'll be it. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in today. We've got everything put together. We're going to go ahead and just get this cut of cars onto track 1. Go bury the goats over back in the engine track, and that'll be it until the local shows up. So thanks again for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos. Got lots of good content coming up just to kind of help you guys explore the ideas behind the route. Also, when the day comes that we do finally get a release, you guys can come back and watch this if you need some tips or some ideas or a little peek into my crazy brain to figure out what the heck's going on. But hopefully it's been enjoyable. I will have quite a bit more switching to film here in this yard when the local shows up, so that'll be fun to see. Switching and shunting, as some of you may call it, is always a ton of fun in my opinion. So stay tuned for that when we have the video on the local. That will be probably the next operations video I do. I think that's the one. I've already got everything set up that I need, so pretty sure I might just do that. And plus I'll have a little surprise in that video for you guys as well. So alright guys, thanks again for tuning in. Stay tuned, and we will talk to you guys next time.